and it's my pleasure to introduce you to our next speaker. Here's what's really amazing about this next gentleman. He is Dr. Sundardas D. Annamalai, and he's got a long list of achievements both medically and also in the field of complementary medicine. However, little known to his peers and a lot of his clients is the fact that he's a high-performing autistic who has achieved so much in his lifetime due to the way he leads his life. Dr. Sundardas is the leading naturopathic physician practicing for the last 20 years here in Singapore. His clinical interests include children's learning disabilities, autism, allergies, women's health concerns, musculoskeletal pains, and healthy aging. He's currently a professor of naturopathic medicine at the Yongsan Institute of Natural Science, Australia, and runs a busy practice here in Singapore. He had been a visiting professor to the Open International University for Complementary Medicine in Sri Lanka. Dr. Sundardas is a diplomat certified by the American Board of Anti-Aging Health Professionals. He's a member of the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. He's also a registered naturopathic physician with the Naturopathic Practitioners Association of Australia. Dr. Sundardas is also a fellow of the faculty of the University of Natural Medicine in Nevada. His client list includes some of the leading Asian actresses and entertainers, diplomats, ambassadors, political figures from around the region, some of the richest families in Asia, the Middle East, India, and members of royalty from Malaysia. It is also proud to note that this includes executives from organizations like Goldman Sachs, IBM, Cymax, Forex, and other companies like Betty Ads, Business Trends, NTUC, as well as local government bodies like the Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of Education. Everybody needs to look good. Everybody needs to know how to live long and well. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready. Please help me welcome to the stage to talk to you about how to live well. A round of applause for Dr. Sundardas Annamalai.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing today? Okay, before I start today, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to tell you about how you can retire healthy, wealthy, and enjoy your life after your retirement years. How many of you want that? Thank you. So one of the first things to understand can you all see the screen? Okay. One of the first things to understand, he's spoken about my track record, so I'm just going to tell you about some of the books I've written. And I'm going to talk to you about natural medicine. I'm a naturopathic physician, and natural medicine is about natural processes of healing. It involves vitamins and supplements, body work, nutrition, diet, counseling. We are healthcare practitioners trained in Australia, Germany. The philosophy of naturopathy is prevention. When I started talking about this 20 years ago, you know in Singapore what they used to say? If I'm sick, I see a doctor. Today, we're not talking about sickness medicine. We're talking about prevention medicine. We're talking about wellness. Now, why is wellness so important? Let me give it to you in dollars and cents. You are going to make the most money in the last 20 years of your working life. Do you all understand that? The last 20 years of your life, you're going to make the most money. 70% of you will not do that. These are the statistics. Statistically, it may be a little different here, but out there, 70% of the population will not maximize the economic lifespan because they'll be too sick in the last 20 years of their working life to max out their income. Okay? So I have 20% of my clientele are the rich and wealthy who come in so that I can optimize and maximize the lifespan, the economic lifespan. Today, we're going to talk about what you can do to do that. So what do you think are the causes of chronic illness? Upsetting the balance of the body, exposure to environmental toxicity, trauma, injury, nutritional deficiencies. For the last 20 over years, I've worked with allergies, environmental toxicity, musculoskeletal pain. I deal with learning disabilities in children, women's health, and anti-aging. I'm going to start giving you the critical percentages, all right? This is going to be a really important chart. I'm going to give you the opportunity to find out how you're going to cope within the next 25 years of your life. Is that exciting? Okay? Now, the only thing you need to do about this is you need to be honest. You don't have to be honest with me. You need to be honest with yourself. And if you are honest with yourself, you're going to find out how you fall on this scale. Okay? So this is how it works. Only 30% of the population will have optimal enough lives to optimize their income. They will have a good chance of making their money if they fall in the B group below. Otherwise, they will have a reasonably long and good quality life, but they will fall short of their income potential. Only 5% of the population who will live long enough to make the money. In other words, they will have the life expectancy by 5%, will do the due diligence to maximize their economic assets. The next 10% will think about doing what it takes. The rest are clueless. So I'll be asking you some questions in a short while that will help you figure out where you are on the scale, okay? So on one level, it's going to be exciting. On another level, it's going to be a bit shocking. So first, I'm going to talk about the biomarkers of aging. If you're going to change your lifespan, if you're going to change and optimize your lifespan, this is the science behind it. You can read this in this book called Biomarkers. And we are going to identify the key biomarkers involved with aging. So this is lean body mass, your muscle strength, your basal metabolic rate, your body fat percentage, body fat distribution. Now, what do I mean by body fat distribution? You know, you see some people, they're really skinny, and then you come to this one here, and it's apple-shaped. Right? That apple-shaped marker is a marker for diabetes, heart disease, and when you have that, your risk factors are really high. Bone mineral density, blood pressure, resting pulse rate, aerobic capacity, blood sugar tolerance, cholesterol, and internal body temperature. Now, if you look at this line, this is the red line is the average lifeline. Okay? The red line is the average lifeline. If you look at the red line, we all become adults at 35, not at 21. Biologically, you reach your optimum growth at 35. Once you reach your optimum growth at 35, we start dying. It's whether you do it slowly or quickly. Okay? So when you reach before 35, you've got two processes. You have something called your anabolic, which is how you build up. You have something called your catabolic, which is how you break down. Before 35, your anabolic is higher than your catabolic. When you reach 35, it changes, and your catabolic exceeds your anabolic. Now, the rate at which this happens will depend on your lifestyle, your genetics, and your emotional patterns. Your lifestyle, your genetics, and your emotional patterns. So the blue line is what you can do to optimize your lifespan. So what the blue line talks about is how we can modify these factors. So from 35 up to about 70, you have the same quality life. How many of you would like that? Okay, today I'm going to teach you how to do that. So from 35 up to about 70, you enjoy that quality of life. Typical lifestyle, you spend about 100 to 300K on medical costs, surgeries, and what have you. By 50, you're too sick to work. you start working at about 50, so your net income may be 0 to 200,000. Your net income after all of that is minus 300 to 100. You stop work at 50 and you wait until your lease on life runs out. The wellness lifestyle, you may spend the same amount, but you're spending it on supplements, on exercise, on gym memberships. You're working at keeping fit. Your income, if you're averaging 50,000 a year for 20 years, is $1 million. If it's 100,000 a year for 20 years, it's $2 million. As opposed to 0 to 200,000, your net income after you're minusing your medical expenses is 900 to 1.75 million. You stop at 70 and you're still vigorous at 70. Now, why is this so important? Because when I was about 36, I had my father and 2 of my best friends die. And I'm going to show you later on, they died when they didn't have to. Okay? They died when they didn't have to. And these are all modifiable risk factors. My father started off really healthy, and because he was in the pharmaceutical line, he figured he could stop everything with a few pills. Now, please understand, I'm not anti-Western medicine. Okay? I'm not talking about don't see a doctor. Please see a doctor when you have to. He's going to keep you alive. But he's not going to optimize your lifespan. That is the function of wellness medicine. So now I'm going to give you the facts. The 10 leading causes of death are heart disease, cancer, cerebrovascular disease, 3 major factors. You know what are the actual reasons for dying? The actual reasons for dying are smoking, diet inactivity patterns, and alcohol. 70% of the population at large will have shortened life expectancy because of these 3 variables. 70% will lose out on the ability to maximize their lives because they will take for granted the way they're living. And as a consequence of that, you lose out on your income, you lose out on your quality of life, your family loses out on you, your friends lose out on you, your children don't get to see you. And it's totally unnecessary. The reason I have this particular chart is, when I did the original chart, somebody said, what are the statistics for Singapore? So I'm showing you the statistics for Singapore are not very different from the statistics from the US. So think about this. When you're sick or unwell, your business suffers. Is that right? Your staff and colleagues suffer because you're not there. Your ability to make money is compromised. Your family and loved ones suffer. You lose out on the income you're going to make, and your business crashed. You're now going to discover 10 factors that will affect your longevity and economic lifespan. Now, I asked you at the beginning to be honest, right? This is when the rubber meets the road. I'm going to do a quiz. At the end of the quiz, if you're honest, you will see how many people in this room have a good chance of optimizing your lifespan. Is that cool? Is that scary? Okay, this is how it's going to work. When I ask a question, if that question applies to you, I want you to stand up. Okay? Then when I ask you the next question, if the question still applies to you, you remain standing. If it doesn't, you sit down. By the time we finish, we will see who's left standing. Last man standing. And that will be the person who is going to optimize the lifespan. Right? Everybody ready for it? Okay, guys, if you're ready for it, put your hands up. If you're ready for it, put your hands up. Okay, very good. Let's start. Do you have a positive attitude about life? If you do, stand up right now. Okay. Very good. How many of you drank 2 liters of water today? If you did, remain standing. If you didn't, sit down. Those of you who drank 2 liters of water a day, remain standing. If not, sit down. So I gather all of you standing, drank 2 liters of water a day. You know what? This is extraordinary. Give yourself a hand. Okay, how many of you eat 5 cups of fruits and vegetables a day? If you do, stay standing. If not, sit down. How many of you eat 5 cups of fruits or vegetables a day? If you do, stay standing. If not, sit down. Those of you left standing, how many of you exercise 100 minutes of exercise a day, a week, which is about 25 minutes a day? Okay, how many of you exercise for 100 minutes a week? Very good. How many of you sleep for 7 to 8 hours a day? If you do, remain standing. If not, sit down. Okay, how many of you sleep 7 to 8 hours a day? If you do, remain standing. If not, sit down. You have dental screening. You see your dentist twice a year. If you do, remain standing. If you don't, sit down. We will tell you all about why we ask you these questions. How many of you who are still standing, you either don't drink, or if you drink not more than 1 glass of wine a day? Either you don't drink at all, or if you drink, it's not more than 1 glass a day, remain standing. And those of you who are still standing, you are not smoking. You don't smoke. And those of you who are still standing, you are at your optimum body weight. In other words, the simple measure is, if your height is 167, take the last 2 figures, and you should be around within 5% of that weight in kilograms. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to look at the people who are still standing. Okay, I want you to look at the people who are still standing, because these are the people, please remain standing, don't sit down yet, because these are the people who have the best chance of optimizing their lifespan. Okay, I think the proportion is less than 30% here. It's probably 10%. So give them a big hand. Okay. Now I'm going to help you calculate your risk factors. Okay? I'm going to help you calculate your risk factors. Was there a childhood vulnerability to physical, emotional, and social factors? If you're more vulnerable, that will increase your chances. Were there childhood events that turn on these triggers? Was there a history of diabetes, heart disease, and cancer in your family? If there is, there's a genetic predisposition. So this is what you do. We have calculated a way of giving you an approximate risk marker. Okay? So you go back to this chart, chalk up the numbers that you failed at. So if you didn't do 5 of them, your marker is 5. If you didn't do all 9 of them, your marker is 9. Everybody clear? That's your first marker. Second one is you figure out how much your father and your mother, whether they had diabetes, heart disease, or cancer. If one of them had it, you give it a score of 1 for each. If both of them have it, you give it a score of 2 for each. Okay? Then you add up all the risk markers and turn it to an exponential power. Okay, so this is how it works. Let's say in your original risk marker, you had 5 factors that you did not do. Does everybody understand me? In your original 9, you have 5 factors. That's 5. Okay? And then, out of the remainder, for the 3 diseases, your parents, either parent and 1 of each. So that's 3. Everybody understand where I'm going with this? That's 3. So that's 5 plus 3. Your total risk marker is 8.